Hello, 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 hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk
Talk
Therapy
therapy.
with Tara.
And Melody. How y'all doing this evening? How y'all doing? So y'all can see it's nice out today. And it's a
It
little
is
warm.
so nice
So
out
we the
today.
fanning ladies today.
Yes, mature ladies have mature issues.
Yes.
So,
Grown women problems.
grown women.
Okay.
Want to welcome everyone to for
Yes.
coming out tonight. Live tuning in with us. We're live on YouTube. You're able to leave a comment, message, um, and we invite you guys to invite your friends on because we got a great topic tonight.
Yes. So share, 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 share. Invite and share tonight because tonight is a very good topic. But most importantly, what we want you all to do is we need you all to head over to YouTube. Don't do it right
Yes.
now, but wait till we're done.
Right.
Head over to YouTube tonight and go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube page so you can keep abreast of what we've got coming up
Mhm.
and make sure you see all of our shows. So if you could go subscribe to the YouTube page and it's less
It's at if you go to YouTube, it's Let's Talk Tara.
Let's Talk Tara on
Let's Talk
YouTube.
Tara.
So we need you all, when we're done this evening, to head over to YouTube and subscribe to the page. But tonight, we're going to talk about, are you settling?
Are you settling?
And most people think about, a significant other, a boyfriend, husband, girlfriend, or whatever, but you can actually be settling in a lot of different relationships, friendships, marriages, settling family, with your children, with your job, with church.
Yes.
So there are a lot of things that you could actually be settling in. So we're gonna talk about it and touch on it tonight a little bit.
Tonight, yes, because so often we settle
And
as
don't even realize we settling sometimes.
until you you're like, wait, I settled.
You had that aha moment.
That aha moment. And sometimes it's a cycle of settling.
Hmm.
Because if you don't realize you're doing something, you are bound to repeat it. You're
Right.
bound to repeat it.
Correct.
Because sometimes, when we get comfortable and we make excuses
Mhm.
for not wanting to change,
Yes.
or we listen to other people
Okay.
say, well, maybe you shouldn't, you know, just deal with it, or maybe it's you, or different things. And sometimes it is you.
Yeah. And to start off, let's give a few examples of actually what happens when you do settle. I do know when you're settling, most of the time you're sacrificing or giving up something of yourself.
Mhm.
The other is not giving or feeding you in any type of way. You're sacrificing or giving of yourself so much till it alters the essence of who you truly are.
Yes.
When you're settling, most of the time, you're actually you're out of character because
Yes.
you're having to be something that you're not. Um, you constantly find yourself unhappy
Mhm.
in it, not
And you become bitter.
satisfied. Yeah, and you become bitter from it. So those are some examples of instances of how settling can make you feel.
Mhm.
So that's when you need to start questioning, am I settling? Because there's a difference between settling and compromising.
Yes.
A
Yes.
very big difference in the
Yes.
two.
Because you have to compromise in life,
Yes.
in any type of relationship, any type, whether it's a romantic relationship, job, church, friendship, family, you have to compromise, but you don't have to settle.
No, you don't have to settle.
You don't have to settle. And so often, as women, because of the way we are created, we are incubators. We take things in, and that causes us to settle. We'll try to take a bad situation and fix it up and make it right.
We will.
Because that's part of our nature. Whatever you give us, we try to improve it, whether good, bad, or indifferent. And sometimes in that being part of our nature, we settle for less, because you said, because it start taking away from the very essence of who we are, the very essence of who we are as a person. And that could be in any type situation.
It can. So if you, one thing with the settling, if you find yourself where you're constantly having to alter who you are to basically just get along. I mean, let's just be real about it. To get along, then you may just be settling. And we do it in the relationships a lot. And I'm gonna speak on dating, marriage, and whatnot.
Yes.
Sometimes we're in relationships and we want the relationship so bad. Now, I'm not saying that you got to run out and leave your partner.
Right. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
But you do need to realize some things and start questioning some stuff, and maybe you all have a conversation about it. If you find yourself where you're always giving and they're not giving back to you so much that let's just say you haven't put your dreams on hold, and your partner is not even willing to recognize or understand or participate in your life.
Right.
The relationship could be very one-sided. And we find ourselves, we're settling because we just want that other person in our lives.
Or we want the perception.
Yes, that perception.
That of what that other person can give us.
We want that to, we are basically in an agreement with it. And then we have those aha moments at some point. And then the other person, they're clueless because we haven't really expressed, what we were feeling or brought it to the table as to what was going on, is why we felt like we were settling. But even with our children, we can get to a point where we settle. We don't expect, we don't require more from them, especially when we know that they can be so much more, and we give in to what they're.
And that happens a lot of times when with children and relationships, when you try, and what happens is you get tired or you get frustrated. So then you stop and you say, well, you know what? I'm tired of trying to get you to understand, or I'm tired of reaching out to you, or I'm tired of having this conversation. And then you say, you know what? Whatever.
And you just move along.
And you move along and you just conform to whatever that situation has become, instead of saying, look, let's sit down and make some ground rules. And sometimes even with your children, you have to make ultimatums. That's not good in relationships, but sometimes you have to say, look, either this is going to happen, or there's going to be a consequence or a reward for it.
True.
One of the two.
True. So with that, we do have to be mindful and have those conversations. And now, sometimes with the settling, we find it hard to have those conversations because we're afraid of how the other person may react.
what the outcome gonna be?
Yeah, because
it may not be what you're looking for.
Yeah, because we've given up so much of ourselves in the settling process that we've come comfortable, and the other person is comfortable. So when you have that discussion about settling, it's almost like, who are you?
Yes.
And we're afraid of what the outcome would be when we have that conversation with them. So a lot of people don't have the conversation.
You know what happens is sometimes they say, well, you tripping. What's wrong with you? You tripping.
Yeah.
Because
who you been talking
to? Exactly. When you've been bottling this stuff up for years or months or whatever, and then when you react or say something, not well, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting different? Why are you tripping? Or so who you been talking to? Who you listen to something on television or what? Instead of being honest up front. And in this society, we have been taught that, yeah, you don't say everything that's going on, but you don't bottle up everything either. And we have learned how to put on
that mask.
until we put it on in our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We put it on with our children.
Yes.
We put it on at work with our friends. We put it on even on social media.
Yep.
We put on this persona and we settle for whatever life gives us instead of saying, no, this is not what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever, if we can't come to a happy medium, if we can't compromise, I'm willing to take the next step in my life so I don't have to settle. And I think that's the part, Melody, that most people don't want. They want change, but they don't want, they want the change that they want.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say something, if I confront this thing, I may get something that I really don't want.
What you really don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that's a whole nother subject. I had to catch myself because that's a whole that is entirely a whole different subject when you're talking about you just may get what you don't want. But that goes to you got to know who you're having the conversation with and what the relationship truly is.
But that goes back to personas, because sometimes we settle because we have this fantasy, we have this illusion on how we want this situation with this person or with these persons to be, and we create it in our minds, and when we don't get it, we start settling.
Yeah.
And then when we get frustrated to the point where, look, something has to change, we're afraid that, okay, I may have this conversation with you, and you may say, well, fine, I don't want it. So that fantasy, that perception of the relationship that you played in your mind, of you created, now it's dissolved, and you like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
You took that mask off, and you weren't expecting that outcome that was going to come from it. And that's why communication is always the very best thing. Open, honest communication.
Yes.
And that's where when we're talking about relationships, and that's where friendship is important.
Yes.
Because having that friendship, it allows you to have a different connection where you can have those types of conversations a little bit more easier.
Say that again, because see, you said something and I don't want you to go too fast. Friendship is very important. And I've read somewhere before that when it comes to a man and a woman, when you've got that true friendship bond, it's a little hard for you to hurt your partner. Yes.
Because you're truly friends. Before anything else. You have that friendship. And we don't get a whole lot of true, genuine friendships. But you should be on a level where you're able to have those open conversations and not be afraid of the repercussions. And that's whether you're in a friendship with the opposite sex or the same sex.
Yes.
Because if you have a true friendship with a girlfriend, and if she comes and tells you something, yeah, you may get mad, but guess what? You all should still be able to move past it.
Friends get mad.
Yeah, to be adults. Yeah, friends get mad. Family get mad with each other. But guess what? They still family. And you still love them. But with that settling too, we can miss out on so much by settling, because with settling, you're saying it's okay. I'm moving myself out of the way. I'm not concerned about me. I'm concerned about you. And there's a healthy way to do that. Yes. Don't get me wrong. There's a healthy way to do it. But then again, when you got to put you totally to the side and change the essence of you, that's settling. Again, going back to relationships, women, we find ourselves settling so much because the first thing we get caught up in sometime is, well, he's giving me the attention. Nobody else is giving me the attention. He's giving me the attention. He's here,
Right.
And he could be giving you the time, and he may be actually a good guy, a really good guy. But then there's that other side to it, and it may not actually be what you want.
Right.
And those conversations are hard. Hey, You're a perfect guy. You may be perfect for somebody else, but you're
Right.
not perfect for me
Right.
because in this relationship, I have this and this and this and this and this and this, and I believe in this and this and this and this.
Mhm.
I have these standards. Da 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 da. Da.
Right.
Again, you may be good for someone else, but you're
Mhm.
just not it for me because I'm
Right.
having to lose myself.
Lose it. And that happens a lot of time because most of the time, people, especially women, don't take the time to understand and find out who they really are. They conform to what their parents are, their friends are, what they
Mhm.
see on television, their personification of what they want, instead of taking the time and saying, hey, who am I? What do I really want? What really makes me happy? Instead of looking at Susie. Oh, Susie husband or Susie boyfriend buying her a car and buy her roses, and she
Mm.
has all the latest purses and she diamonds and stuff. But you don't know Susie getting beat down at home, or
True.
you don't know that Susie he doing all that because honey he's sleeping with Susie, Sally, John, Philip, and Mary.
Well,
So he's doing all that to make up. So we look at our perception of what we think we want, and we try to live our life out of that, and we start settling instead of taking that time and say, hey, let me spend some time with me.
yes, and get to know exactly who I am and what I want, what
Mm-hmm.
I desire, in many ways, and that can be true. But women in circles, we all, want to have our girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
We all have friendship goals, as they call them.
Right.
But even in that, you've got to realize who you are because it's so easy to get entangled in
Mm-hmm.
someone else and you find yourself settling.
Yes.
So much say you have someone in your circle and all they like to do is club and you find yourself in the
Club.
clubs
Miserable.
with your friend, but while you in there, you miserable because you know that's not where you belong yet,
Mm-mm.
and that's not you.
Right.
You're settling. But then that person that you're in there with, having that good time,
Mm-hmm.
are they supporting anything that you like?
Mm-hmm.
But you settled and you've accommodated them so much in your life till you losing you.
Who you are. And I
So
call them leeches. I call them leeches
yeah,
because they want you to participate. And you have people, you either have a leech or a lover in your life. You have people that want you to participate in the things that they're doing and want you to add to their life, but they're not willing to add to your life.
wow.
And in any type of relationship, you are supposed to add, bring increase to that other person's life. And if you have someone in your life that's not bringing increase, they
Mm,
are taking from you. That's a leech.
yes.
A lover, and we're not talking about sex. We're talking about someone, a person that loves you. That a person that loves you wants you to increase, wants you to become more,
Yes.
wants to push you to your next level in life.
Yes.
A person that's a leech, what they want you to do is, come on, listen, it's all about me.
Yeah.
I don't care about what you're doing.
Yes.
I don't care about what you're doing. I don't care if this makes you happy. You need to conform to what I want.
Yes. And we have relationships like that.
Yes.
And some of us have been in relationships, friendships, and stuff like that for years.
Years.
All
Yes.
because we're comfortable. We're afraid to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to also realize all relationships are not for a lifetime. Some are just for a season.
That's right.
And some relationships are formed, just like I said last week. We marry and we date sometimes based on where we are in life.
Mm-hmm.
And they may have been your friend at that point because that's where you were
We're
in
in
life.
life, right?
So as you grow, sometimes some people got to fall
Go.
off and you just may have to pluck some off.
Yes.
I mean, that's just real honest talk
Mm-hmm.
with it. You have to have that gift of goodbye.
Say that again. I like that. I like that analogy. The gift of goodbye.
Yes, the gift of goodbye and be okay with it. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you hate the person, doesn't mean that you won't speak to the person, but you all just may be traveling different directions.
I use an example. I own a hair salon and I have assistants. And I'm the type of person I can work with anybody because I can work with anybody. That's just how I am. If I don't like something, I'm gonna say it.
Mhm.
Let's fix it and move on. But certain times if I'm hiring someone and they're just not a good fit,
Mm.
because they could be a great person, but they may not be a good fit for me and my business.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Not that it's something wrong with them, because they can go to another business and be great. So being in business, I had to learn, because it's so hard to have to fire somebody. Fire somebody, because you don't want to be fired, because a lot of times when you have to fire somebody, the first thing they think, well, what's wrong with me? May not be anything wrong with you. You're just not a good fit for what that person needs. So I had to learn that and be okay. Okay, because if you have someone working for you and they start draining you, leeches, they're not a good fit. When you have a person is supposed to add to you, if you're in business and you have someone coming in and you're paying them, and they are taking from you, and you're more drained when you leave. When they leave,
That's not good.
That person is not a good. Not that it's something wrong with that person. They're just not a good fit for you in that business. You have to find somewhere else for them. That doesn't mean you have to not talk to that person. But what happens is we get up. Oh, when a situation like that, then I can't ever speak to that person again. Why? Why can't I work with you in another capacity? Maybe just not this capacity, especially with women. We take so many things personal. We take things personally. If we don't agree with something, I can't ever work with you again. No. Maybe let's do it. That
may have not been the particular thing that you needed
to be in. And we have to understand that every relationship, you don't settle because, they're such a nice person. No.
Yes. Or either get caught into, I've got to work with them. They've got to do this because they're my friend and they expect this.
They expect
and that can mess up. That could cause an even bigger problem.
Yes.
Down the road, to a point where people don't speak and they lose out all of the history that they had. Now, relationships, speaking of that, one of the first things one of my coaches taught me is that when you're building relationships, be it personal or be it business, each person should add value to the other.
Yes.
So if the other person is not adding any value to you, then it's off balance. You're settling if you continue in that. Because when I say add value to that person, you should be doing something for them that is increasing them or helping them in some type of way. So if it's a business relationship, if you're pouring into me, okay, and I'm sucking up all the knowledge and stuff that you're giving, I need to be able to give you something back. So that means even if you don't have any money, but if I can make your life easier by sweeping the floor,
thank you. Yes.
I'm gonna become the best floor sweeper there is. Because guess what? That's added some value to you. Because guess what? You don't have to worry about that.
Thank you.
I'm gonna clean up everything I need to do. I'm gonna run your errands and stuff. It's adding value. You're doing something for each other. And even when you're talking about friendships, sometimes, friends, you add value. You should be pouring into each other.
Now it should be one-sided.
It shouldn't be one-sided. And we do get caught in that settling because we say, that's okay. So sometimes you got to sit back and you got to evaluate some relationships.
Come on. Yeah.
We have to evaluate some, and that's real talk. And sometimes it's hard to do. And when you do that evaluation, if you got a big circle and you really, really evaluate, more than likely that's half of that circle gonna be gone.
Or even more than half.
Yeah, it'll be gone. Because then you'll really find out who your circle is. And I say circle because that's something else that we've been using. We hear a lot like, my circle. I've got my circle. But are they really in your circle? Or are you settling just
to have people
around?
Just to have.
Because I know people that like to have people around and
Mhm.
don't want you to go home. They just want you because they just want somebody there.
Because they're lonely.
Hmm. Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is. They want somebody there because they're lonely.
Yeah.
And they need people around them so those people can fill that void.
Mm.
And that goes back to not knowing who you are and not being happy with who you are.
And that's spending time. You got to put the time in, put the work in, and spend time with yourself and get to know yourself and what you want and your desires, what you're able to compromise on, and what you
Yes.
just won't compromise on. Because that's
You know,
important.
I remember I had a conversation. We were talking about standards. I had a young lady, and we were talking about standards, and I asked, she said, "Well, I have standards." Now, standards are something that you stand on, and they're not moved.
Yes.
That's a standard. And she made this comment. She said, "Well, my standards change depending on the situation."
Mm.
So if you say you have standards and your standards change depending on the situation, then you don't have standards. That means you conform to whatever whatever comes on, you conform to it. That means you really don't have standards. So many people that say, "Oh, I have a standard," but then when something comes around, they break that standard or they conform to another standard so they can make somebody else happy or they can fit in.
Mm. You know what come to my mind listening to that? Self-esteem issues.
Yes, ma'am.
and you know, self-esteem issues, we all say, oh, they've got self-esteem issues, but it's a lot of us walking around with self-esteem issues.
Come on.
Because we can mask self-esteem issues. Self-esteem issues is not actually a diagnosable illness, but it does contribute to other illnesses, mental issues.
Yes.
That is diagnosable. But self-esteem, you know, you could look at a person and you can say, they don't have self-esteem issues, but they truly can have self-esteem issues. And when you conform it to, you know, you say you have standards, but if you're conforming to whatever come your way, then that means you're not really sure of yourself.
No.
Not just you saying your standards, you're not sure of yourself.
Yeah.
You're almost, can I say it, double-minded. You all over the place.
Yes. And so many people are double-minded, thinking that they're single-minded.
Yeah. And that's scary.
It is. But that's what we've become in this society. I change to whatever fits the situation. Now, Paul says, "Be all things to all people." He didn't say, be that person. You need, and then some things, and those things are based on a standard. On a standard. That means if you see somebody at a robbery, you don't go out and rob with them.
No.
You don't do that. Well, Mel, guess what?
Our
time is up. I tell you what, our time is up. This is a great conversation.
A very one. And I think we need to really continue it because the settling issue can go into so many different areas. So that's why I think we really need to continue it. But before we get off for this evening, I want to remind you all about Saturday night.
Yes.
Life,
lies,
love,
and relationships.
And I'm going to say this. I had my prayer time this morning, you know, because Tuesday mornings are a little different for me. And I got some good stuff for y'all. So, but we got to wrap it up. We got another meeting we got to go into, y'all.
Make sure you go to YouTube at Let's Talk Tara and subscribe to our page.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe to our page. So the more subscribers we get, the more we can do. The more you can see us. We can make this a whole hour because we have so much